He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. There are no facts, only interpretations. Without music, life would be a mistake. The man of knowledge must be able not only to love his enemies, but also to hate his friends. No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. Blessed are the forgetful, for they get the better even of their blunders. Morality is the herd instinct in the individual. Become who you are. The snake, which cannot cast its skin, has to die. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. Every deep thinker is more afraid of being understood than of being misunderstood. Art is the proper task of life. Hope in reality is the worst of all evils because it prolongs the torments of man. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. Talking much about oneself can also be a means to conceal oneself. There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. A casual stroll through the lunatic asylum shows that faith does not prove anything. Invisible threads are the strongest ties. Silence is worse. All truths that are kept silent become poisonous. The thought of suicide is a great consolation. By means of it, one gets through many a dark night. Convictions are more dangerous foes of truth than lies. Is man merely a mistake of God's, or God merely a mistake of man? We love life, not because we are used to living, but because we are used to loving. The true man wants two things: danger and play. Madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, nations, and ages, it is the rule. He who despises himself still respects himself as one who despises. All things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth. The demand to be loved is the greatest of all arrogant presumptions. Truths are illusions, which we have forgotten are illusions. All credibility, all good conscience, all evidence of truth come only from the senses. Every profound spirit needs a mask. Distrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. Man is the cruelest animal. In truth, there was only one Christian, and he died on the cross. Remorse is like biting into a rotten apple. It is sour and useless. Freedom is the will to be responsible to ourselves. The advantage of a bad memory is that one enjoys several times the same good things for the first time. We have art, so that we shall not die of reality. He who cannot obey himself will be commanded. The doer alone learneth. One must pay dearly for immortality. One has to die several times while still alive. All great truths begin as blasphemies. The desire to annoy no one, to harm no one, can equally well be the sign of a cowardly disposition. Man is a rope stretched between the animal and the Superman, a rope over an abyss. No shepherd and one herd. Everybody wants the same. Everybody is the same. There is more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy. For the woman, the man is a means. The end is always the child. A thought, even a possibility, can shatter and transform us? Ah, women. They make the highs higher and the lows more frequent. A good writer possesses not only his own spirit, but also the spirit of his friends. Rejoicing in our joy, not suffering over our suffering, makes someone a friend. What does your conscience say? You shall become the person you are. There is an old illusion. It is called good and evil. One has to be light-hearted to be profound. What is great in man is that he is a bridge and not a goal. Ultimately, it is the desire, not the desired, that we love. One repays a teacher badly if one always remains nothing but a pupil. To forget one's purpose is the commonest form of stupidity. The higher man is distinguished from the lower by his fearlessness and his readiness to challenge misfortune. In the mountains of truth you never climb in vain. The greatest cure for love is still that time-honored medicine: love returned. The secret of reaping the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment from life is to live dangerously. How little is required for pleasure? The sound of a bagpipe. Without music, life would be an error. The most perfidious way of harming a cause consists of defending it deliberately with faulty arguments. Love brings to light a lover's noble and hidden qualities, his rare and exceptional traits. It is thus liable to be deceptive of his normal qualities. The lonely one offers his hand too quickly to whomever he encounters. When we are tired, we are attacked by ideas we conquered long ago. One should die proudly when it is no longer possible to live proudly. There is not enough love and goodness in the world to permit giving any of it away to imaginary beings. Your soul will be dead even before your body. Fear nothing further. The greatest event of recent times, that God is dead, that the belief in the Christian God has become unbelievable, is already beginning to cast its first shadows over Europe. He who has attained to only some degree of freedom of mind cannot feel other than a wanderer on the earth. To recognize untruth as a condition of life, that certainly means resisting accustomed value feelings in a dangerous way. Power is not a means, it is an end. The demand for equality is often a cloak for the desire to dominate. The earth has a skin, and that skin has diseases. One of its diseases is called man. What we do isn't as important as what we are. The real world is much smaller than the imaginary. He who cannot put his thoughts on ice should not enter into the heat of dispute. To use the same words is not a sufficient guarantee of understanding. One must use the same words for the same kind of inner experience. What do you regard as most humane? To spare someone's shame. The future influences the present just as much as the past. It is hard enough to remember my opinions without also remembering my reasons for them. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. A man's maturity, to have regained the seriousness that he had as a child at play. The greatest weight. What if a demon were to say to you, this life as you now live it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more? Egoism is the very essence of a noble soul. He who does not know how to find the way to his ideal lives more frivolously and shamelessly than the man without an ideal. The most spiritual human beings, as the strongest, find their happiness where others would find their destruction. Man created woman out of man's rib, says the Bible. Woman gave man the apple out of her womb, says Nietzsche. A man with genius is unendurable unless he possesses at least two other things besides gratitude and cleanliness. The higher we rise, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. Those who cannot understand how to put their thoughts on ice should not enter into the heat of debate. He who cannot find joy in solitude will not find it in company. The more abstract the truth you want to teach, the more thoroughly you must seduce the senses to accept it. A politician divides mankind into two classes, tools and enemies. There is something behind your thoughts, you yourself. Who is observing? What is the seal of liberation? No longer being ashamed in front of oneself. There are two kinds of people, those who want to know and those who want to believe. If you know the why, you can live anyhow. He who is punished is never he who performed the deed. He is always the scapegoat. A subject for a great poet would be God's boredom after the seventh day of creation. One should not go into church if one wants to breathe clean air. There is more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy. Everything the state says is a lie, and everything it has is stolen. The will to a system is a lack of integrity. The best weapon against an enemy is another enemy. Success has always been the greatest liar. The philosopher must be the bad conscience of his age. The most dangerous ideas are not those that challenge the status quo, but those that justify it. Whoever despises himself still respects himself as one who despises. If you want peace, prepare for war. By means of music, the passions enjoy themselves. The end of a melody is not its goal, but nonetheless, had the melody not reached its end, it would not have reached its goal. The world is beautiful, but has a disease called man. He who lives for the sake of combating an enemy has an interest in the enemy staying alive. Man is the only animal that must be encouraged to live. Liberal institutions cease to be liberal as soon as they are attained. The ideal of the cold soul is a type of cruelty.